why money grows slowly, then suddenly fast. Have you ever noticed how making money in the beginning feels painfully slow? You work hard, spend hours learning, trying different ideas, watching videos, improving your skills, and yet the results barely seem to move. Your income grows little by little, sometimes so slowly that it feels like nothing is happening at all. And this is exactly the point where most people give up. They assume that if success hasn't happened quickly, it probably never will. They look at successful people online and think those people somehow got lucky, found a shortcut, or discovered some secret method that everyone else doesn't know about. But the truth is much simpler. Money often grows slowly at first because you are building the foundation before you ever see the reward. In the beginning, every small action feels disconnected. You learn a skill today, but it doesn't pay immediately. You post content online, but nobody watches. You apply for work, but nobody replies. You try side hustles, but the income is tiny. It feels frustrating because humans naturally expect effort and reward to happen close together. But wealth doesn't usually work that way. Most of the important progress is invisible at first. Think about learning any skill. At the beginning, you struggle with basics that later become effortless. The same thing happens with money. When you start from zero, you are not only trying to earn, you are learning how earning actually works. You are building discipline, patience, confidence, communication skills, and problem-solving abilities. None of those things show up immediately in your bank account, but they slowly increase your ability to create value. And value is what eventually creates income. The problem is that people only focus on visible results. They compare their current situation to someone else's final outcome without understanding how long the process actually took. They see someone earning thousands online, but don't see the years of consistency, mistakes, failures, and learning that happened before the success became visible. That's why early growth feels so slow. You are doing a lot of work without seeing immediate proof that it's working. But that doesn't mean nothing is happening. In fact, the slow phase is often the most important part of the entire journey. This is the stage where habits are formed, skills are developed, knowledge compounds, confidence grows slowly. And even though you may not notice it day by day, you are becoming more capable every single week. Imagine pushing a giant heavy wheel. At first, it barely moves. Every push feels exhausting. But eventually, the wheel starts rolling. And once it gains momentum, keeping it moving becomes much easier. Money works in a very similar way. The first dollars are difficult because you are creating momentum from nothing. There's no audience, no experience, no reputation, no system, and no leverage. You are building all of that from scratch. That's why the beginning feels unfair sometimes. The effort feels much bigger than the reward. But if you stay consistent long enough, something interesting begins to happen. Your skills improve. Your speed increases. Your confidence grows. Opportunities appear more often. You stop wasting time on things that don't work. And suddenly, the same amount of effort starts producing much larger results. That's when money appears to grow fast. But in reality, the fast growth was built on months or years of invisible slow growth. One of the biggest reasons money suddenly accelerates is because of momentum and compounding. Most people hear the word compounding and only think about investing, but compounding happens in skills, knowledge, relationships, and opportunities too. Every skill you learn connects with another skill. Every small project teaches you something useful. Every failed attempt makes you slightly smarter. Over time, those improvements stack together. At first, the progress feels tiny because the gains are small and scattered. But eventually, those small gains combine into something much bigger. This is why successful people often look like they became successful overnight, when they actually spent years building toward that moment quietly. Think about a YouTube channel. In the beginning, videos may get almost no views. The creator spends hours editing, scripting, learning thumbnails, improving titles, and trying different ideas. The growth is painfully slow, but if they stay consistent, eventually one video performs better, then another, Then the audience begins to trust them. The algorithm starts recognizing their content. Suddenly, the growth speeds up dramatically. To outsiders, it looks sudden. But the reality is that the creator spent months or years preparing for that moment. The same thing happens in freelancing, business, investing, and almost every form of income. At first, you struggle to make even a small amount. Then one opportunity leads to another. One client becomes multiple clients. One skill becomes several skills. One source of income creates another. Momentum creates acceleration. And once acceleration starts, growth no longer feels impossible. Another reason money grows faster later is because you stop thinking only in terms of time and start thinking in terms of systems. Most beginners trade time directly for money. They work 1 hour and earn one payment. But over time, smart people build systems that continue creating value even when they are not actively working every second. This could be content online, digital products, investments, automation, or repeat clients. Systems create leverage, and leverage is what allows income to grow much faster than effort alone. But you can't build leverage immediately. You first need skills, understanding, and experience. That's why the beginning is slow. You are building the tools that later create speed. Unfortunately, many people quit during this slow phase because they mistake slow progress for failure. They expect dramatic results too early. They compare chapter 1 of their journey to chapter 20 of someone else's story. And because they don't see immediate rewards, they stop before momentum ever has a chance to build. That's the tragedy. Most people are actually much closer to progress than they realize. They quit right before the wheel begins to turn, right before opportunities start appearing, right before their consistency starts paying off. The people who eventually succeed are usually not the smartest or luckiest. They are often the people who simply stayed long enough for compounding to work in their favor. They understood that slow progress is still progress. They accepted that growth would feel invisible before it became obvious. And they kept going anyway. So if your financial progress feels slow right now, don't panic. Don't assume you're failing just because the results aren't massive yet. Focus on building skills. Focus on consistency. Focus on becoming more valuable every month. Because eventually, all those small improvements begin to connect. And when they do, money no longer grows in a straight line. It begins to accelerate. What once felt impossible starts feeling normal. The same person who struggled to make their first $100 may later make thousands with far less stress. Not because success became magical, but because momentum finally kicked in. That's how wealth actually works. Slowly at first, then suddenly fast. If you enjoyed this video and want more honest finance content, wealth building psychology, side hustle ideas, and real strategies that actually make sense, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're not chasing fake shortcuts here. We're building real long-term growth, one step at a time.